Hey guys, and welcome back. So today I wanted to do a replay on a pretty recent match actually. So this one is Amemiya versus Kazu, and this is in Puyo Tetris. So these are the top two players probably in the world basically. And Amemiya's been sitting at the top for a while, and Kazu is kind of like an up and coming god slayer as they call him. But yeah, he's shown to be really good at the game. I think he's especially good at being clean and being efficient. Uh, Amemiya is mostly a Puyo Tetris main. I think Kazu is just generally good at limit games as well. He but that don't discount him from no limit games because Kazu's around top five, top six in Tetrio, which I think is definitely something to commemorate. Um, Amamiya hasn't played Tetria though, so it was really interesting to see them finally play after so long. Um, this is being streamed in on two to three different channels. The one I watched it was on Hard Drop, and for Hard Drop they had two people commentating, Kaboozle Pie and Gendragpan. And before the match started, Hard Drop put out a little post, who's gonna win tonight, and I voted for Kazu. But yeah, it was mostly Kazu because a lot of people haven't seen Amamiya play, especially because there's a lot of new Tetrio players. But also, I think it's because a lot of people had faith in Kazu because um, he is a scarily strong player, and also just root for the underdog because Amamiya is defending his title as the Tetris god. So yeah, I have commentary muted so I can provide my own. Unfortunate. And occasionally I will be pulling out Fortress. And instead of the commentary that they're doing right here, where they're just going doing it as the game goes, I'll be trying to pause and point out some more detailed stuff. Hopefully I can. All right, so we have the commentators here. We don't understand them because they speak Japanese, unfortunately. So Kazu's playing on the left side and Amami is on the right. And for every few sets, they're going to switch. So on the bottom, you can see this set counter right here. I'm going to pause the game just in case. So we have 1 through 13 because whoever... So let me just actually go back. So as soon as the game starts, they're going to play it up to 3 rounds. So whoever wins a first 3 gets a set. Then whoever gets 7 sets wins. And that is why it's up to 13. It's a strange number. So I think the first thing we need to look out for in Puyo Tetris is the opener, because the opener is especially important in Puyo Tetris. If you don't have one, then I would strongly recommend you at least start with one, because this game is intense when you play in top levels. And yeah, opener matters a lot here, just because when you're playing a no limit game, especially like the down stacks in this game, I think are also really important to know about, because in this game, as you can see, garbage is pretty messy, unlike other games, and also down stacking by itself is much less viable. So what these players need to do is send garbage like on their own. So upstacking is way more viable. But I think the more important thing is that they need to send more garbage to the point where the other person is just going to have to tank it. So you're going to see in this match a mix of sending clean garbage, down stacking efficiently, and especially combos. Combos is a huge point, which I think was really interesting about this game. So a few things to point out here. So let's go a little bit back. Actually, let me scroll my bar back. With Kazu on the left. So he at this point was trying to set up for a really big attack. So what he did here was he created a future overhang. So once he gets this T piece, I piece, and then second T piece, he can launch out a pretty devastating attack. So what he does first is he gets the T piece out first. And as you'll notice, there is kind of a T-shaped hole, but if he goes for the double, he's not going to get it. So he goes for a single instead, and that allows him to go for a TSD and Tetris. And he does go for a little skim here, which, yeah, of course, that is kind of the cost of this kind of board. You kind of need to skim, but I don't blame him. And then a really nice count to 4 on Kazu's side. He, instead of just placing the eyepiece straight in there, he goes ahead and fills out the first 4 rows and then does it. So really nice play from Kazu. Um, does go for a T-spin single. So what he's now doing here is now he has all this garbage and he needs to downstack it. Not necessarily like a priority, but eventually he will have to get to it. So it's better to do it late than never. And at this point, he does happen to find a pretty decent downstack that can fend off Amemiya. And a really nice find from Amemiya instead of what I was thinking, trying to just go for counting to 4 or like putting the LPs right here. He goes for an overhang instead, which is really cool. But what I would have done differently instead of placing the overhang like that, I think I would have placed the overhang as it is like this. It just looks a lot cleaner. But I think the thing I was going for is, of course, dependencies, which is something I missed. So you'll see here that he could put his Z piece in this area. And with what I would have to do, you'd have to waste an I piece. But then again, it's fine either way. Because you do have to remember these people have time pressure and I don't. And then also then again, there was really no place to put the eyepiece. And then really nice idea here from Amemiya, setting up this overhang and then using the J piece to clear out the rest of the lines. And I would also like to point out that back-to-back T-spin minis, while they may not appear to do as much as in Tetria, where back-to-back is multiplied. In this game, back-to-back only is either you have it or you don't. Kazu's this back-to-back right here is really important because in this game, like I said before, you need to send as much garbage as possible from your own pieces. So it will be a battle of who can keep their back-to-back while sending as much garbage as possible. And then we have a really nice board from Amemiya. So what he needs to do is get this S piece over here. And actually, and I think what a lot of people miss here too is, what a lot of people miss here is that they want to put the overhang like this, and then they accidentally forget that they have a dependency. So if I put that in Fortress, oh, that is strange. Yeah, Fortress does not like this. All right. So yeah, a lot of people will have the instinct to put their LPs like this, and then they will just completely forget that there is a gaping hole here, which for me, I have another LPs, but as you can see for Amemiya, he does not have an LPs, so that would have been problematic. But thankfully, he does get something to bail him out of it. And another really nice find from Amemiya is finding this, let me back up. Yep, this TSD setup right here after counting to 4. And you'll have just enough to get in the T-spin, but he does have to skim. So if we look back over at Kazu's side, he has a huge well. I have no idea how you get wells as clean, but yeah, now Kazu is basically at the bottom of his board, but I think another problem with being at the bottom of your board is that you don't have as much resources to send garbage to your opponent. And compared to some other sets, this is actually a pretty long one. But unfortunately here, Amemiya just has really, really messy garbage. And as you can see here, there's what would be best here in this ideal situation is to have a J piece so that it's facing away from your cheese holes, but yeah, Amemiya just does not get that. But another way to get out of downstacks is to find T-spins in between. Well, in games like Tetrio, that would be questionable at the very most because sometimes you're just giving your opponent free garbage. In this game, finding mid-game attacks while you're downstacking is really useful. And as you can see, Amemiya is back on his feet. Well, he's not even standing. And then another really nice find for counting to 4. He has 3, and then he places his J piece like this. So when he goes down, now he has his next well open. And he's going to go straight forward because, yeah, pressure is everything in this game. And unlike Tetrio, it shouldn't really matter. Sorry, not shouldn't really matter. It matters less when you put your big attacks at the end of a combo. Because generally, you just want to try and extend the combo as much as possible, which we are going to see in later games. All right, now we see on Kazu's side, there are a few cheese holes, but as you see, he just gets right out of it. But eventually, these players are going to punish each other for trying to go for garbage holes. Another fun fact about this match is that there are actually a few fighting fighting game how should I say, I guess legends. That's a pretty light way to put it. There was I believe Daigo was also watching this match, and which is I think really cool because I don't see a lot of uh major I guess like well-known players being interested in Tetris. And Kazu gets a really nice combo right here. So let's back it up a bit. So first he starts out with a fractal, but the other thing to notice is that he has this really huge well right here. So instead of going for the double, which would of course send more, he wants to continue this combo. So he goes here, and like if this was Tetrio, then I think what he would have done is go O piece and then take a little bit longer to send the garbage. But of course, this is Puyo Puyo Tetris. Just get the hell out of there. And if we look back on Amemiya's side, which is the whole reason why he lost. So as you can see, this is a pretty dire board right here because there's a bunch of dependencies. There's basically nowhere to go after Kazu's huge combo. And from here on out, it's basically a slaughter fest. Is this the best thing I can say? Because once both players have completely lost it, they're going to go straight for as many tactics as they can find to get each other out. Tactics, sorry. And then a really nice stair setup from Kazu. Um, what else is there to point out? So yeah, while Kazu does have this really nice board, Amemiya is just clinging out for dear life, being able to find the downstacks. But I think what Kazu has an advantage is, of course, being able to send more garbage than Amemiya. Which can be is just kind of a scary thought. And like I said right here, let's go back. If you look on Amemiya's side, if you don't know who I'm talking about, just you can see the pictures. And Amemiya is the only one who's showing his face right now. And there is this really good hole right here that's able to give him a T-spin single, which can just barely rat him out of it. But there's just no surviving Kazu at that point. So what Amemiya needs to do is play defensive, and then find a way to pressure Kazu, because right now it's Kazu the one that's pressuring him. And what is really strange is that not really strange. Never mind. So actually, I do have something to say about what I was about to say. Then I took it back. Another thing to think about in the metagame is perfect clears. So it's a bit different in, like I said, in Puyo Puyo Tetris than Tetrio, because in Puyo Puyo Tetris, you can at least stop your opponent from getting a perfect clear by, doing TKI. It'll take some time. And as you can see, Kazu wins the first one. But for PCs, it's more like a prediction, because you have to predict that your opponent won't go for a setup that may take longer, or might go for a 6-3 stack. And the thing about PC is, like, once again, that it does send a lot. So yeah, as you can see, Amemiya goes for a straight. Let's go not for a straight, for a huge combo right here. So what he did is I guess his signature. This is Amemiya's signature DT 4 wide. So his strategy basically is to set up a DT cannon and get some early pressure, and then while he is completely invulnerable, while Kazu is at least tanking the garbage, he's gonna set up a 4 wide. So once he gets to the bottom, then that's devastating. And as you can see, he got pretty lucky with the garbage. Yeah, in Tetrio, DT Cannon isn't as powerful, But, in games like Puyo Puyo Tetris where you can set up a 4 wide, it is deadly. And once again, Amemiya does go for it. But another thing that Kazu does, which I think is really interesting, is that instead of going for a 4 wide back, he goes for a 3 wide to try and kind of manage the combo himself. And we'll see how it works out. And then here is the highlight of the entire match, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. They're now stalling. So if you don't know, stalling is a tactic that players use in Puyo Puyo Tetris when they're sending combos. So the thing with combos is, I need to explain this whole thing, is that that as you're playing, if you get sent to if you're taking garbage, you can only take garbage once you've been sent a line. And in games like Tetrio, you don't take garbage unless you don't clear a line. In this game, it doesn't matter if you clear a line or not. The next piece you place, you will take the garbage or you're going to cancel it out. So what Amemiya is trying to do here right now is this garbage that's being sent from Kazu. He's trying to tank it so he can increase his combo. Now, obviously, this is like a best case scenario. But in this case, I don't think it's exactly the best idea for Amemiya because he's just, his garbage is a bit too cheesy for that to happen. So if you ever see players like Wumbo or other, got like Puyo Puyo Tetris players do this 4 wide stall, then that's the reason why. So it's basically a race to see who can accumulate the most garbage while doing their combo. And as you can see, Amemiya just at that point realizes that it's not worth it. So I will be calling a combo. Sorry, not combo. I'll be calling Ren combo. Because I guess in this game it's called Ren. And a lot of games it's called Ren. So now they're just playing normally. And fantastic. And if you'll pull back and see what Kazu is doing, if I can get farther back. So for this specific, sorry, T-Spin, he's going to go for a single instead of a double because he wants to try and get that down stack combo. And like I said, combos are absolutely viable. He is just, at that point, he needs to try and find a way to maximize it. And I think, yeah, combos are probably the best way to down stack in this game instead of just going for mid game. Because at least you're sending messy garbage to them. And it's much more possible to do those kinds of combos because, you have that messy garbage and it's going all over the place. So as you can see, it's going to be another Gamushiro versus DT 4 wide. And Kazu does not necessarily have the resources to fend off that much of a combo, but he does have just a little bit to hang on to. And while I was doing this, I actually went to grab some food from the kitchen. And when I came back, they were still in this stall fest. So I'm going to, just for the sake of content, fast forward it a bit. Clearly not enough. And then they finally get out of it and they just snap out of it. And yeah, Amemiya was going to win this round either way. I expected that to happen. So if you ever see these long stall fests, usually the person who wins is the person, like, after a few, like, seconds of analyzing, it's going to be the person who has a much better combo. And this round, I think, I really like this round because it shows that this game is not just going to be a stall fest of whoever wins. And Amemiya does try to go for the DT 4 wide, but I think the crucial thing that he forgets is that Gamushiro can actually PC. So the thing with Gamushiro is that you're trying to do a C-spin, and you're going to set it up, and then after that, if you don't get sent any garbage, you can go ahead and try and get a perfect clear. And that is exactly the counter that Kazu needs to beat Amemiya's DT 4 wide, because DT 4 wide uses the side, and unlike center 4 wide, side 4 wide doesn't take garbage. So that's why you won't see a lot of people doing side 4 wide, just for this specific game at least. So now that Kazu has found the counter to Amemiya's 4 wide, he's going to completely abandon it because, if something fails, then why would you do it again? So yeah, there is a lot of in-depth strategy going on here, not just from, playing the game, like this whole shonen anime protagonist fight going on, but also because these players like in this time they're trying to think about how to counter each other's play styles. And so as you can see here, we're about to go into a break because Kazu just won the first 2 sets. So every 2 sets they're going to take a break. And we're going to move straight on to the second one unless you want to see these guys commentate. Clearly you don't because you don't know what they're saying. Also because I muted the audio. So we're going to move straight on to the third set. And right now, if I was Amemiya, I would be sweating because I have a huge lead. And by the way, Amemiya is now on the left side and Kazu is on the right. I don't know why they made them swap sides, but whatever. And really smart idea from Kazu. Instead of... let me go back. Instead of seeing, like, going straight for a TSD, like seeing this, it's very tempting. But the problem is that it's 4. And if you haven't seen Caboozle Pie Spike Lecture, we could do this thing called counting to 5. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks high, then you can do a TSD and Tetris. But if it's 4, then you can just do a Tetris. So the smart thing that Kazu does right here is instead, he sees this garbage here on the right side, and he sets up an overhang here. So when he does his Tetris, now he has the TSD on this side. Really cool. And as you're going to see that this was a lot of garbage to handle for Amemiya, just because Kazu's garbage was so clean, and he handled it really well. So I don't think that was... So yeah, I think that was a bad idea for Kazu... not Kazu, for Amemiya to go for that PC. So once again, we're gonna see the classic DT 4-wide. And of course, Kazu wasn't prepared for this, because he just saw that coming up. And I think that's the hard thing to think about, like, when is DT 4-wide, when is stick spin gonna come up? All of these are like specific openers that are designed to basically catch your weaknesses. Yeah, I'm not just talking about Puyo Puyo Tetris, I'm also talking about Tetrio. And so once again, now we're going back to both these players setting complete clean, trying to get as much garbage in as possible. And now at this point, Amemiya has significantly worse garbage. And I think also a problem here with Kazu's board is this cut copy right here. So what he actually could have done is... Actually, let me see if I can try and get this in. Let's see if Fortress will actually listen to me. No, it does not, but it sure tried. So let me also try to copy the queue. Okay. So what Kazu did here was he saw this cut copy and he tried to go here. And then the problem with that is, of course, you have to set up... You kind of have this awkward opening. So I think for players who are a little less experienced, what the best thing to do here is to just place these pieces on the left, so you have an overhang for the TSD on the bottom. I think this is a much sorry, I'm mixing up my words. I think this is a much more manageable board for players who might be less experienced in handling these kinds of boards. But that's just my thoughts. So the thing with Kazu is that he's Kazu. He's gonna follow up with something crazy like, you know, an STSD, but he doesn't. Which I thought he was gonna follow up with an STSD. But you know, if I talk to Kazu, he'd probably give me a really good reason why I'm wrong. And so we have a really nice downstack coming from Kazu once again. His board is now almost empty, so he needs to start building up for resources. And Amemiya, I think, has a really great board. Until he... Yeah, once he held, that was basically the end of it. And I think this is a problem for some other players. Once you hold, you're basically signing a contract that you can't go back and, you know, unhold. So the thing to watch out when you're about to hold is, like, what's going to happen. Once I hold, am I in any danger? Are they going to send me a bunch of garbage? And actually, Amemiya almost had a PC there. Let me go back. Yeah, right here. If the garbage from before wasn't sent, this could have actually been a PC. Which would have been cool to see, but, you know, these players are under constant pressure. So it's pretty unlikely that we'll actually see a PC happen mid-game. But I think it does happen, actually, at some point. But yeah, that is just what we call RNG. And really nice idea for going for to go for a C-spin on Kazu's side. Because what I was seeing here is just go for a Tetris, and then maybe go for another TSD. But the thing with this C-spin, well, I'm not saying C-spin, it's a TST. Yeah, it's not a C-spin. What am I saying? For when he goes for that TSD, it also opens the board on the side. And yeah, that's. I think that's basically just a game plan for Kazu for now. Then we. Sorry. God, I need something to wash my mouth with. No, sorry. And then here the commentators got really surprised that Amemiya went straight from just like doing a standard flat top, while Kazu was doing his usual Gamushiro, and he goes straight into a TST tower, which based absolutely. But I think it's also impressive because he knew that that he was gonna have to tank uh, Kazu's Gamushiro coming up. And yeah, I think it wasn't the TST tower that made him lose this round. It was just the fact that he didn't actually deal with his garbage. So now we're here in the fourth round, and Kazu is up 3 sets. God. And we're seeing Amemiya go for the classic. And yeah, here I was also really worried about Amemiya because Kazu just found a really good spike after countering Amemiya's previously sent first TSD from the DT cannon. But both players handled it really well, and now they have a pretty huge spike. Amemiya, I don't know why he did this. He decides to tank some of it. It could just be a skill issue. But yeah, Amemiya has some really messy garbage that he needs to clean up. And the best way to clean up messy garbage is to send clean and then combos. And I think this is a pretty good defense. But there's another. But then the next problem that he has to deal with is Kazu once he gets to the bottom of his board. Because once you get around the bottom of your board, you have more mobility, and that enables you to set up bigger spikes. And yeah, it's usually easy to tell when one player is in control of their board and the other person isn't. But yeah, both players seem to have a good grip. And unfortunate that Amemiya's board right here on the left. Yeah, unfortunate that that little piece, sorry, sometime before that. Never mind. Okay, yeah, it was not unfortunate. And yeah, there are a few things he could have done here, I think, in order to maximize his attack. But I think it was too stressful because, they're playing against each other in... Oh my god. Fortress, what are you doing to me? So yeah, they're playing kind of in a way that is really risky. CLT. And then J, so I'll pull up Amemiya's board. So there's a few things you can do here. You can try and go for an STSD, which is what I was thinking. But those are just a few options. There are a few things you can do with this board, but I think his priority right now is to just downstack. But yeah, I would be playing defensive too. And now I think the priorities are kind of shifting towards, getting the attack from Amemiya side. And then Kazu, he's actually getting some really good TSD setups right here. And of course, getting another count to 4. But I think that I did talk about before how you should be, if you're counting to 4, you can only send a Tetris. Well, instead of course, going for another Tetris, he decides to set up a T-spin and then go for go for a little more upstack and then get another T-spin in. Unfortunately, that doesn't let him get another Tetris, which he was about to get. He just sends 3 lines instead. Not 3 lines, he sends a triple instead. So, what else is there to mention? Also, if you haven't watched, if you haven't watched Sirkyu's video about how to get better at Tetris, he does mention something along the lines of this, of doing this kind of TSS right here, or at least I might have assert you, but if I am missing something, then please tell me. Um, so once Amemiya gets his STSD here on the left, instead of going for the second TSD, he goes straight for this kind of even setup right here. So what this even setup does, of course, is allow him to get another STSD. And actually, if he went for this TSD right here, it would be completely fine because he's kind of got a down stack if he goes for the double. But you know, instead he's gonna keep it the way it is, which I think is really admirable because you know, after losing 2 different sets, he's still playing common defensively. I would not be. You see, the difference with me is that I get tilted over games that I really shouldn't be. And then Amemiya sets up a mid game 4 wide, which honestly I think is kind of scummy. But you know, you do what you got to do to keep your title. But yeah, the problem with setting up early 4 wides is that you have to deal with pressure too, because Kazu's always going to be sending pressure. And also another idea right here on Amemiya's side that some people might actually be able to see. If if you hold that for one more piece, you can go for a triple and then a T-spin double, if you can see that overhang right there. Amemiya does decide to play a bit more clean, but personally I would have just gone for the triple and then TSD. And so we're now playing a bit more clean, but we're still keeping up the pressure, which I think puts these players in a completely different level compared to others. Is putting pressure on your opponents is super important in Puyo Puyo Tetris. Um, that is absolutely something that I cannot excel with. I actually started on a PPT, and you know once I moved on to Tetris, I kind of realized a huge difference in between because you know Tetris it's all about finding the best down stacks, the best combinations, and striking when it's the right time. But here it's a lot about pressure, and it's kind of refreshing to be honest to see that you know the meta is kind of sticking to the classic keep uh sorry, what am I saying? Keep, you know, sending attacks and be consistent. And yeah, Kazu is just not able to get enough attacks in to cancel out the garbage from Amemiya. And while there is pass through in this game, it's a little less abundant. And here, as you can see, we're having another stall fest where we're gonna see if oh god, yeah. So we're gonna see if Amemiya goes for the PC or not. And what Kazu was planning to do is once the PC does get sent, he wants to place a piece down and then go for an STS. He wants to get an STSD and probably go for a really good down stack. So unfortunately, this one line of garbage does ruin his STSD, and now he can't get both T pieces in. Because if he slides it in, it's going to go down here. That won't count as the T-spin. So that's the perfect time for Amemiya to go in and strike. Although Kazu does still have a fighting chance to get out of it. He does have to deal with a 4 wide. But really impressive downstack that gets him all the way to the bottom of his board. But then he just gets sent all the way back up. And that misdrop kills him. So now I believe we are about to... We're pretty far into this set. I believe. I need to check. And we're going to see another DT 4 wide. Kazu messes it up, but he does get a really flashy TST. I think that's all that matters now. But yeah, unfortunate that we go a little back. Yeah, I thought it was really unfortunate that Kazu just could not slide the T piece back here. I think what he was trying to do is get this T piece all the way to the side so we can get his Tetris in, and that probably would have saved him. But you had that line clear delay, which definitely stops you from getting it. And that's Amemiya's first victory. So yeah, now they're gonna bring it back to the commentators. It's like, wow, Amemiya finally won a set. So we'll go straight to the next one. And as you can see, they messed up the overlay. So now we have to deal with this for like the next couple minutes, I'd say. And Kazu does get the PC for Gamushiro, which is really cool. And he actually does DPC, which isn't... I would say it's like semi-viable for the fact that you can just get the T-spin in. But if your opponent just like absolutely sends nothing to you, then you somehow get the DPC, the whole thing. The idea of DPC is that you get a T-spin in and then you get a PC. But in this game where there's so much time for the opponent to counterattack, there is absolutely no way that uh, DPC can come out the entire way. And yeah, really nice donation on Kazu's side. But both players are basically dealing with their garbage now. I find it really interesting to see how the difference between dealing with their garbage versus dealing with their own stack. And yeah, Amemiya is finding a really good combo here, and he's able to continue it just a bit longer. And this is actually a combo that I would have stopped like at least like what, like 3 ren ago. But in this game, combo like each single clear matters once you get up to the tops. And a really unfortunate not misdrop really. I guess a misjudgment from Amemiya's side. He thought he was gonna get pretty far down, but Kazu sent too much pressure. And Amemiya goes for a perfect clear. But yeah, like I said, these players are just trying to counter each other's ideas and playstyles. And one really good way to counter Gamushiro is to just, PC. Because Gamushiro doesn't come out in the first bag, it comes out around the second and third. So that is the time where you... So usually PCO would be useful for if your opponent is doing openers that take more than one bag to pull off. Of course, not for stuff like Hachi Spin, because that would just ruin your stack. But yeah, stuff that takes time to set up and only comes out later. Stuff like DT Cannon. Those are good options to counter with PCO. And what I find really interesting is that Kazu here doesn't try to go for a C-spin. Not C-spin. What am I saying? It's not C-spin. It's a TST. So what he can do right here is... yep. He can put an S piece here and then a Z piece and then go for a T-spin double. But instead he decides to keep the Ren. Because, yeah, while it does take a little bit less... Well, it does take a little bit less time. It also sends a hefty amount of garbage still with that Ren. So, yeah, sometimes taking that TST might not even be worth it. Because the idea is that I did see a comment on a Puyo Tetris game where there's someone playing as Puyo and another person playing as Tetris, where they're talking about how Tetris is... How, like, in Tetris there's no speed cap. That is absolutely not true. There is for sure a speed cap on Tetris. And I'm not just saying that, like, in a literal sense, like, oh, well, Tetris has a speed cap. It's 30 pieces per second. But I mean, like, humanly possible. Because both players at this point are trying to wait for the opportunity to start moving again. Which I think the developers balanced out really well in this game. Instead of just going for a no-limit speed game, which I don't think they actually have before. But instead they kind of went for a way to balance it by, creating this artificial DAS and ARR limit. So now that Puyo players can actually compete with Tetris players. And it's always, like, on the internet you see the Tetris players at a slight disadvantage. Wow, funny. But, like, in reality, I think the developers balanced it really well. Like, until, like, today's standards. Tetris players still, of course, have a hard time dealing with Puyo players, but the thing is that it's a completely different game. All right, sorry, back to the match. So we got a little down stack coming from Amemiya. It's not going to do much. I think another thing I like to point out with Amemiya is that there are if like a few, I'd say there are a few weaknesses in like how he plays compared to Kazu, and I think specifically that goes into down and everything that like isn't related to finding really good down stacks and finding ways to counter Kazu, which I think he excels at finding counters and applying his own tactics. But I think some other problems that he has compared to Kazu is not being able to send enough pressure, which like I already talked about. Pressure is a huge factor in winning in Puyo Puyo Tetris. But yeah, just generally he's not sending as much attacks as Kazu. If we like I could pull out the APM chart or something, but yeah, I wish that was a real thing. Like an APM chart for Puyo Puyo Tetris. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I think Kazu is really well known for sending lots of pressure to his opponents and just sending a lot in general. So not Kazu, sorry. What Amamiya needs to do is of course, work around this, find a weakness, find a counter, which he is doing. He's already tried going for PCO, tried going for DT4 wide, which Kazu eventually did catch on to. But the things he needs to do is do them in moderation. So of course, like six spin players will just like go like do stick spin every time, and sometimes they'll win, sometimes they'll lose. But what'll really like be the killer for those kinds of crutch moves is like if you do them occasionally, because if you have a counter set up for it, then it's not going to be as effective if they don't do it. That's in some cases though. But yeah, finding counterplay to opponents and gameplay is I think what compels a lot of people in the Tetris meta, and I think that mostly applies to top players. Maybe not the higher rank players, and we see another stall wide. But thankfully, Kazu knows his limits. But yeah, I think also a lot of people are interested in the game just because it feels great to play. But I do see people quit from Puyo Puyo Tetris just because sometimes the game just feels similar. But if you do want to play Puyo Puyo Tetris, and actually if you do play Puyo Puyo Tetris, that's great. But personally, for games like these, it's hard for me to find enjoyment in games that feel so similar, and that's why I really like Tetrio. Every match, it feels like I'm playing against someone that has a completely different play style. And then, like in Puyo Puyo Tetris, there's of course still play styles, but I never get to see those kinds of people because I'm not that good. So essentially, it's a get better skill issue kind of thing. But yeah, this is why PPT is such a good game. It's still held up even like past 2014 as a competitive game. It's still one of the I guess major guideline games that people play. Other like sorry, not like that is compared to other games that may not stand out in the guideline community as much or just don't have that much traction. Like Nutris, I think is a really good game, but I think the problem there is that not a lot of people are interested in playing it. The game itself does take kind of long, and there are games like Tetra Online. I think Tetra Online probably would have done a little wouldn't have done as great as it had in its first few um like while it was still up. I should say. But yeah, in general, you want to see what you want to see from a good guideline game is some interesting mechanics that set the game apart, and I think this game specifically, not just because it interests a lot of people, a lot of Western, sorry, a lot of Western players to Puyo, but also because uh, the idea of having tuning limits and having all this cheesy, messy garbage, it enforces a new type of play where you're trying to, make your movements optimized instead of trying to improve your movements that are heavily unoptimized. Of course, there's stuff like sprint in the Tetrio. That stuff is like you have to basically optimize as much as possible. But I think it's really interesting to watch Puyo Puyo Tetris sprints because as you'll see, like as the difficulty goes higher and higher, the time gets lower. But that is mostly because of line clear delay. And let me just get back to the match because I wanted to talk about it. Really unfortunate misdrop from Amemiya, but he still has three set. Sorry, not three sets, two sets. And now you can see from here is that you can see the wins now, because previously they didn't have it. And here's a really odd setup for Gamushiro that you see from Kazu. He's gonna go for Gamushiro pretty much every time because it's a pretty reliable opener. It can counter Amemiya's DT4 wide. But yeah, in general, if you want to if you're playing serious matches against people, play your reliable openers instead of playing the one trick ponies. Like I play my own opener Sexpin. I do play it a lot, but the thing is that I do differently is that I don't actually go for the TST tower every time. I only go for it when I feel like it's necessary or like I can. But sometimes I do just go for an STSD. And we have a really nice Imperial Cross from Kazu that basically gets the win. So if you'll see a little bit from before. Should I find it? Yes, right here. So two things to notice with this stack when you get the Tetris out of here. So two things to notice with this T-spin right here that could happen actually is that you have the T-spin itself, but you don't have this area right here. So you can fill that either with an I piece or with an L piece. And the L piece will basically make two overhangs. So if you do what Kazu did, you can make a plus sign, and this is actually in my 5 mid-game setups video. If you put an overhang over the plus, you can actually make an Imperial Cross, which will send two TSDs. Or a TSS if you're if you don't have a line extra. So yeah, now Kazu is only up 2 games. When I say only, I mean like for the rest of the game, it just goes downhill for Amemiya. And once again, we have switched boards. And right now, also Amemiya is working with a huge well right now. So this is a really big combo for him. And yeah, he's just going to slowly work his way around the singles and doubles. So actually, let's go back. Actually. So what a lot of people will try and do here is try to clear a few singles and get out. But what Amemiya does, he just starts upstacking, going for a triple and then a Tetris. So the biggest difference from there is, of course, if you do 3 singles in a row, you have to do with that line clear delay from before. And also, yeah, when you clear triples, even though it's not as efficient as a Tetris, it's still you're still making the most out of the LCD you still have to deal with. And yeah, Amemiya does have to be really careful when he's stalling to cancel Kazu's attacks, because Kazu could have a lot more coming up. For all he knows. So now Amemiya's back at the bottom of his board. He's got a few quick TSDs to pull in. And he's just going to have to play solid from now on. Unless Kazu can get a really good spike. Well, they're not really spikes in this game. There aren't technically any spikes in Puyo Puyo Tetris. They're just large attacks, I guess. But yeah, Also, Amemiya getting a really clutch fractal. That was very nice. Um, but he still has to deal with Kazu's pressure while still getting out of this predicament for himself. And a really nice idea to go for the single so we can try and extend a combo, but I don't think that was enough vision to get him out of it. And unfortunately, that does make him lose another round. And we are back in the same part, and he's going to go straight for a DT 4 wide. And oh my god. Yeah, this is the problem with doing DT is that one in every misdrop you'll get a. Sorry, one in every like 4 DTs you'll get a misdrop. But he actually cleans it up really well, so if you'll pay attention. So the first thing you do when you misdrop is obviously you don't want to panic, because then you'll just make worse misdrops. So what he does here instead is he tries to find a way to clean it up. So I guess his kind of thought process is, okay, well, I have a hole here. So what if I fill up this area and then I can make a Tetris? So what he does here is he slides this S piece in, he slides the L piece in, and he gets a Tetris. So the next thing he needs to do is kind of, yeah, he's gonna try and kind of create a well, but he actually cleans it up really well. I gotta give him props for that. And yeah, from here on out, it's just trying to survive Kazu. If a god's new objective is to survive, you know that he's in big trouble. And yeah, he's gonna find a pretty good down stack. He doesn't continue the combo, which I was really disappointed in. I thought he was gonna continue it. It looked pretty good. And that was actually a really strange TSS that I thought he was gonna do, until I saw what he had up his sleeve next. So once again, he's gonna try and fend off Kazu's imminent pressure with a few combos, and I think combos are like the saving grace for Kazu now. Not Kazu, sorry, Amemiya. As you can see, these players like absolutely have like lost all their patience. They're just like not gonna go for stall wides. And it's not just because it's not entertaining to watch, it's because they're kind of like looking for unrealistic expectations. Like if you see stall four wides, then sometimes it's just not worth it unless you like don't have any garbage. Then yeah, of course go for it. But sometimes I see people doing stalling four wide, like while they don't even like they have like 5 lines of garbage and they're all scattered across the map. Like then like what's the point? Why are you tanking garbage if you're not even going to be able to continue the combo off of it? Of course, this could probably just be a top player not even like realizing what's going on and he's actually just stupid, but you never know. Also, really nice Tetris PC coming from Amemiya. But unfortunately, like Kazu has that huge downstack that comes right after getting a PC. And yeah, Amemiya needs to be super careful with Kazu's garbage. Because the thing with garbage in this game is when it is clean, it's super deadly because you're basically giving your opponent free ammo to attack you and end you in like 3 seconds. And actually, Amamiya is able to fend this. We go back. He's able to fend off this perfectly here from Kazu by sending the triple right after, and he's only going to take about 1 to 2 lines of garbage. And without the 3 blocks in his four wide, he does manage to get a pretty good combo. And this is looking pretty good for Amamiya actually. I kind of like his board. I would if we could like swap or something, I would have it. And that was also pretty clean, but once again, Kazu's uh, trademark pressure is coming in. It's also because he's doing really clean TSDs. These TSDs, like these, like for him is just second nature. But I know for some A ranks, it's like, how is he finding these? And the answer really is just that you gotta get used to finding T spins. And I don't think you should spend a lot of time like trying to find them on your own, go like spend 40 hours in the basement trying to figure out how to do it. Just like take some time to play some games against people and look for T-spins while you're playing. And also really good pressure at the very beginning of the match. Good idea for Kazu to go for PC. So once Amemiya gets that DT cannon, he's not able to counter all the garbage, and now he's basically blocked off his well. So that is another factor to think about when you're doing PC, is where the opponent's garbage will land on. And also when you're doing DT 4-wide, you want to make sure your board is even because the garbage could appear anywhere. So if you don't have a clear-cut idea of where it's going to show up, then you're screwed. And once again, Amemiya's just has absolutely no mercy on wanting to take out Kazu with the DT 4-wide. And Kazu is handling this great. Never mind. So what he was doing there is basically kind of power stacking. So power stacking is when you basically don't have much defense. So what you want to do is create a giant well on both sides, so you can kind of create a combo in the middle, so you can both tank garbage and cancel it out. So it's a really good technique that you can use in Tetris too. I think it's more effective there actually. So in Tetris, when you power stack, not only are you preventing your opponent from sending huge spikes to you, you're also creating the possibility of getting a really good spike yourself. Of course, the downside with setting up power stacks is that your opponent, of course, can pressure you in that time. There's some really nice TSDs coming in from Kazu. And I'll also admit that this is really, really nice to watch because seeing all these TSDs seeing all these TSDs on the board, it looks so clean. And also, if you'll could he have gotten a fin there? I think Kazu could have gotten a fin. Let's test that out. LT. Right. Yeah, actually, Kazu could have gotten a fin TSD. So the idea for a fin TSD is that you're making it kind of like a TSD. So if you see this TSD shape, but instead of having this part right here, you're going to extend the overhang one more block ahead. So now you kind of have this, I guess, absent F. But the idea of the fin is that you want to extend the overhang. Oh, not like that. You want to extend the overhang so that when you come over here, when you rotate, it fits in snugly. But if you soft drop it like this and then do it, it's not going to count as a T-spin. So you have to have it floating first. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Unfortunate that he didn't find it, but who gives a shit? He's Kazu. And once again, he's going to go for Gamushiro. I don't see a PC with this one right away. But he is able to get a pretty sexy board right there. And he's going to once again go for power stacking. He's going to have two... So once again, the criteria for power stacking has basically already been fulfilled. He has two really long wells, and he has a center that he can combo into. And I think that's really useful especially against Amemiya, because it's basically using his element against medicine against him. Using medicine? Sorry, that was a terrible analogy. We're gonna see a immediate Gamushiro PC because once again, Amemiya's going for this kind of awkward DT, which I really don't like the DT. I'll just tell you right now. So the idea of you tucking in your L piece is that you're losing plenty of time. just setting up the DT itself. So what would have actually been much better? I know a lot of people meme on this, but I'm being completely serious when I say that Amemiya should have done a right side DT. Yeah, I'll leave it blank there. Now there are a few caveats with that, especially because his Q wasn't exactly the best because he would have to place these two in succession. But there are a few solutions for getting the pieces where they need to be for DT, and I'm pretty sure he knows a lot about DT anyways. But yeah, the soft drop DTs and Puyo Puyo Tetris are especially harmful to the player because it gives you a lot of leeway to be attacked by your opponent. So Kazu wins two more sets and he's basically at match point. I'm going to skip this. So the next set that Kazu wins is basically the end of it. So Amemiya needs to play really well, and he's on this side as you can tell. And of course he falls in for the Gamushiro PC trap. What he needed to do first was think about how to counter Gamushiro, because if Kazu's going to do Gamushiro every single time, then what are you going to do? You have to find a way to counter it instead of doing that skim right there, because that skim probably was the worst thing he could have done in that situation. And so now that Amemiya is still doing this DT, it had the doors of opportunity to get Gamushiro PC again still lies out there. And I find it interesting that Kazu decided to go ahead and place his piece right here, knowing that garbage was coming to him. Because I think what he was supposed to do instead was try and go for PC. Maybe he already saw that the PC didn't wasn't possible. Actually, I don't think the PC was possible. But like, if he saw that far ahead, I am utterly like floored right now. Like, I don't actually think there's a way for Kazu to have seen that far ahead. Like, notice, oh, I guess there's no PC. I better not just like take the garbage anyways. But it's a good thing that Gamushiro doubles as a good opener and a PC finder. Not PC finder, more like a possible PC getter, I guess, for this analogy. And also in the turn of events, I was I was watching match point right here, and I was surprised because I thought, wait, is it Amemiya on the right side? And like, wait, Kazu's doing right, he's doing a DT four wide, and so everyone was like absolutely shocked, like, holy shit, he's using his own opener against him. And the crazy thing is, it actually works, as you can see. So, despite everything that Amamiya had to say, Kazu absolutely crushed him, and as you can see, his Kazu's reaction to this is amazing. Look at that reaction right here on the left. Just so much emotion in his face. If you didn't actually know, they had to blur his face out because he requested it, and he's a minor. So, well, no, he's not a minor. He's 18, but he's in high school, so he has to have his face blurred. He doesn't have to, but he should. But yeah, I bet about like 5,000 channel points on Kazu winning, and I got it all back plus point 0.8. So yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fat dub for me. That was on Hard Drop's channel, by the way. Blink is awesome. But yeah, after this, they had a pretty long interview between the two players. As you'll actually notice, both players are pretty young. This is very common for the Tetris community. Like, a lot of the top players are under 18. Some of them are 15. But yeah, this was a huge surprise to at least to some people. Like, we just expected this to be a really close match, but Kazu just like, I'll be honest, he absolutely destroyed Amemiya. And I think it was the fact that Amemiya was just not able to send as much pressure as Kazu. And he resorted to going for DT4 wide, which Kazu later on figured out and he was able to counter it. So I think Kazu's thought process, like, being able to counter this DT four wide got him the win in a couple sets. And I think generally, like if even if Amemiya didn't try to go for DT four wide, I think still it would be pretty much the same results. Maybe if I think just in general, when you're playing big tournaments like this, instead of going for like what you want to go for, you got to think about it first. I think what Amemiya had in mind was try and go for a few tactics, but like in execution, some of these tactics might not have worked. No, that's absolutely not. I'm not trying to disrespect him. I just think that Kazu played a bit more well and was able to, apply this idea of countering tactics much better than Amamiya. And this is a lot coming from the person that feels like Tetris is a game that is pretty shallow compared to other fighting games, or just yeah, like other fighting games. I personally feel like Tetris is a bit shallow, but I think the beauty of it is that Tetris is just a pretty simple game to understand. And as much as like some people like to make out that there's too many rules and guideline, I feel like it's just the right amount. But maybe in the future we can have some more rules in place, and we can have a game in guideline Tetris where everything feels like it's very in depth. Uh, a lot more time to think about things, so it's not just better player wins. It's more like better player and a better strategizer wins. I guess. But yeah, those are the kinds of games I'm hoping to see in the future. And I think watching this match is just goes to show how games like Puyo Puyo Tetris, I feel like I've underestimated. But yeah, I think props to everybody who was able to set up this whole match and make it as hype as it was. And this was all in Japan, so yeah, we were. This is a great event. I genuinely thought this is one of the best matches I've ever seen this year. And I think not just because we're watching Tetrio matches, but also because PPT matches are just as entertaining to watch. Because, oh, what am I saying? Oh, the video ended. And just because you can see everything that's going on in their heads. Like you can see all their moves. And I think a problem with no limit games is that, of course, it's really hard to see what they're trying to do, because like 1 second you see they make a misdrop, and then the next one they just make an infinite down stack. But in these games, it's much easier to see where their faults are and what they're doing wrong. And I do remember watching an old video of Shiro Brawl playing with the number one player in Puyo Puyo Tetris. I was like, wow, this guy's so fast. And then when I come back and I see, oh, he misdropped the DT cannon. What a loser. I'm just joking, I swear. But yeah, just like watching this match in general, you can see their. To me, it feels much more like it's an actual puzzle game where they're actually thinking about what they're doing. Whereas in Tetris, it really just feels like I'm kind of like automatically going through whatever I want to think about. But yeah, speed is also. But yeah, like when speed is like not the only thing that can actually save you in these kind of cases, there are other things to think about. So I think if Amamiya wants to claim back his god title, what I think he needs to do is maybe not just reconsider, but try and think around what Kazu does in his gameplay. Like not just uh, going for DT forward and hoping to get a really good combo. I think thinking about counters for Gamushiro, especially letting the opponent go. Like I think the idea of Gamushiro is that you think you're about to get a really good setup by letting the amount of time in the beginning to get a really good forward or something like that. But then all the garbage comes to you at once right after. So with Gamushiro, you need to kind of think about what kind of openers would be good to take advantage of the first half, but be able to survive the second half of it. But I think also another problem was that just Amemiya was trying to survive through the whole thing, and I think, and that yeah, that's just not going to be sustainable for someone claiming to be the Tetris god. So yeah, I know Amemiya can't read this or anything, but you know, strategize harder. And I know I feel like I feel kind of pretentious for saying that, but like honestly, it is entirely possible to do better than players just by strategizing, and I think that's really neat. But like that's all I have to say. This is a really well done match. I really enjoyed the commentary by Kaboozle and Jendrik fan. They made it really exciting. Um, and with that, thanks for watching. And I will be pumping out more content like this. I want to do a lot of analysis and replay stuff, so you can like go in your bed and then start watching at like 2 a.m. That'll be the kind of content I want you to watch. Not want you to watch. I'm sorry. I don't control your life. That'll be the kind of content I want other people to watch. So I will be dropping a new video on Tuesday. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I will be uploading every Sunday and Tuesday, hopefully, or at least in my current time. So thanks for watching. Penis.